Welcome to episode 52 of Marbella with him and her. He is
PJ Lopez, and she is
Mandy Urena.
Yes, for a second week in a row, filling in for Hannah.
Yes. How's she doing?
Oh, they are having an epic journey. I think there's been lots of tears and tantrums and lots of different emotions, but they're doing all right. I'm really, really proud of them, to be honest. They are in a tuktuk with 3 people, sometimes only 2 of them. So today was the longest journey that they've had to do, which was about 6 or 7 hours, and there were only 2 of them. So they literally had to share that driving between the 2 of them.
So she's actually driving the tuk-tuk as well?
Yes. So they had a training day. And on the training day, just after that, Hannah was not happy because she kept stalling it. She didn't think she was going to do it. But you know what Hannah's like. Second day, she got in it and she mastered it. So she drove it out of Chennai in 5 lanes of traffic. And got going. And now she's loving it. I mean, that she's sending back video footage with one hand on there, the other one singing and playing around, and incredible. And has sent over a nice little update. So she'll update us on everything that's been going on. So I won't go too much into that. I'll let her tell us about that. But she is doing very well. He is now just today, as we're recording this podcast, arrived on the West Coast. So they started on the East Coast. They're now on the West Coast. So they're sort of on that final few days of that journey now up to Goa.
That's unbelievable. And are they safe?
Relatively. Yeah, I mean, they've mastered how to do it now. When they were first there, it was scary because you're just amongst lots of cars and traffic and lorries and coaches and people on their hooter all the time. But the hooter is not to tell you to get out of the way. It's to let you know that they're there. So that's why they're all on their hooters. And the first thing they were told when they got there is that you've been told that we drive on the left. That's not true. We drive where there is a space. So yeah.
Terrifying.
Very. But yeah, I said they're like old hands at it now.
How many tuk-tuks are there in a caravan?
They can't go in this convoy because there's so much traffic that they get split up really quickly and they all break down. I mean, they've broken down 4 or 5 times. And basically, Indian men just come and help them on the side of the road, and very kind people come and get them going again. But there's 54 women in total, and there's about 3 per tuk-tuk generally, and sometimes only 2. So yeah, they've got a convoy of quite a few going on.
I cannot wait to hear in next week's podcast. Talking of which, I have to say, congratulations, 52. That's 1 year that you've been doing the podcast.
Yes, I know, it's gone so quickly. And Hannah's not here for the anniversary, but you are, so thank you.
She's not here, but you can celebrate when she comes back.
Yeah, absolutely.
I have listened to everyone. Let me just... I do every week. So I'm in Miami, in case people have forgotten or they don't know. And on my way to work on a Monday, I listen to you too. It's my first podcast that I listen to every week.
That's great to hear. And you give us some really good feedback, which is really helpful most of the time. So it helps us develop. Even 1 year in, we're still developing, still learning. I think what people want to hear. And I think this has been great as well, linking up with you over in Miami, because although it's across the other side of the pond, it's very similar in some aspects to Marbella and very different in others.
Yeah, it's expat life.
Exactly. So it's great to hear how you're coping with that over there versus how we cope with it over here.
Well, I cope, PJ. I've got sunshine, palm trees and manatees swimming at the bottom of my back garden. So
right. Tell everybody what a manatee is.
A manatee is the size of a sofa, almost like a dolphin that is in Florida. They're kind of white grey and they're so cute, so friendly, and they're always smiling, and they've got little flappy hands. And if you put your watering hose in the water and they see fresh water coming in, they come up to you and they start like guzzling the water, and they stay there with you for 10 minutes and they roll on their belly. And people actually swim with them in Crystal River, that's up on the West Coast, and it's beautiful waters there, but I will not do it because the alligators are there as well. So you've got to be nuts to actually swim with them.
Yeah, that sounds a bit dangerous.
But they're very dolphin-like in that they're very friendly and cute. Oh, I love them. They're my favorite animal. So when I'm sitting having a coffee and I hear it means they're coming up for air and they're just blowing water, and I quickly look up and it just makes my day. But they are literally the size of your 6-person sofa.
I don't know if they caught that when you said when you're sitting there having your coffee, which is back onto the canal, which is incredible.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's only a small garden. It's a little patio. But we see dolphins and manatees and sharks, a lot of sharks.
Oh, sharks. Wow.
Yeah.
And in proper big sharks?
Some of them are white tip sharks and they're a little smaller, a lot of baby sharks. And then sometimes we see the hammerheads. So I've only ever seen a couple of hammerheads. And, I look and you can see because the shape is a hammer, shape of the head. Hammers, hammerheads. I've seen some big ones with a fin sticking out the water, but mainly they're small to medium size. And in January last year, my in-laws were visiting and we sat there, all morning just talking over coffee and breakfast. And we counted something like 27 sharks.
I'm taking it you don't go swimming out there then?
No, but my husband goes paddleboarding.
Talking of canals, it's like that out here at the moment because our weather is atrocious over here in Marbella.
What happened?
Literally, the heavens have opened and it has rained non-stop, I think, now for 4 or 5 days. So much so I don't know if you recall, there's a main road that goes from San Pedro to the beautiful city of Ronda. Quite a windy road that is now closed, and it will be closed for the next week because there's been a huge landslide and it is completely blocked by boulders.
Wow.
Really didn't want to be in the way when they came down because that would have just pushed you off the road into the other side and down a hill.
Were there any fatalities?
No, it happened, I think, luckily when the roads weren't too busy, and not a lot of people have been out because we've got amber alerts, which is just only go out if you absolutely have to type of scenario. It's been not very Spain-like, the weather at the moment, and it's set to continue. What type of season is it there? Is it the wet season where you are?
No, not yet. It's beautiful. It's cold in the mornings, actually, and I had a bit of a shock yesterday. I was going out to walk the dogs, and I walked outside in my flip-flops and my shorts and came right back in, put on my sweatshirt and my Uggs. It was that cold. I mean, when I say that cold, I mean it was 49 degrees. So that's 9 degrees Celsius.
That is quite cold, yes.
That is cold for us in Miami.
Yeah. So when does your weather start heating up? Is it very similar to our sort of timings?
No, it's hot all the time. You can go to the beach on Christmas Day and it'll be hot. It's just that in the mornings it's cold. So, don't feel sorry for me that it was 9 degrees yesterday, because probably by about 11 o'clock it was bright sunshine, and by 3 or 4 it's really, really hot again and everyone's at the beach. But our horrible season is June, July, August. Well, June through November is hurricane season. And we get warnings on TV all the time that this hurricane is stirring somewhere in the Eastern Caribbean and it's coming towards the Bahamas. And then sometimes the trajectory is Miami and sometimes it's more north. And we've been here 6 years and we've avoided every single hurricane. Thank God. But with the hurricane weather, you've got pouring torrential rains, horizontal, and that's from June, July, August is very, very wet in Miami.
If you want to visit Miami, don't do it there.
Well, you can, but in the afternoon it's nice, but most of the time it is raining.
And you've had quite a busy week, haven't you?
I have had a very Spanish week.
See, I told you there's similarities to Miami, to Spain.
Well, I've had a very Spanish week because, amazingly, they had feria in Coral Gables, Miami, which is about half an hour from us. So they had the people dancing in their flamenco dresses, dancing the Sevillanas. I went in my frilly blouse, my big gypsy earrings, my flower in my hair, and I represented. I didn't go in my feria dress because I'm still 1 inch away from getting the zip up. So I wore my frilly blouse and my jeans. But anyway, I've got a personal trainer and I will get into that dress by the end of April, which is the feria in Rota. And I will be dancing the Sevillanas.
Wow. And explain to everybody what that is. I'm sure our local listeners know what that is, but we've got listeners from all over. So explain what that is.
The Sevillanas are from Sevilla, and it's 4 dances. So it's where the man and the woman meet. That's dance number 1. Dance number 2, they fall in love. So it's a closer, more flirty type of dance. The 3rd dance is where they fight. So you see the Spanish women stamping their feet and putting their hands on their hips and kind of have this facial expression of anger. And then dance number 4 is they make up, and then it's very, very close and flirty again. And they're little dances, just a couple of minutes long. So you go on the dance floor and you look at the people next to you and you say, what number? And they'll hold up 3 fingers. So you know to do dance number 3. Which is the fight that's stamping. Yeah. So I know how to do this from when I lived in Spain, but I've forgotten year after year. I mean, you just forget. So at this festival yesterday, I met someone who has a dancing school, and I said, can you teach me the Sevillanas? Because I'm rusty. And she said, yes. So I start Friday, and I've got a lesson every Friday until we come to Spain. So I'm not going to look foolish on the dance floor.
Wow. So you're going to be an expert again.
Yes, that is the plan.
You said something as well that was quite interesting about a chef. That is he visiting or you went to see?
Yeah, so I went to this amazing restaurant this week with my friend, and it's owned by the Spanish chef, Chef Jose Andres.
Okay. Yes. Heard of him.
Yep, so he's got restaurants all over the world, and he just opened one in the Ritz-Carlton, South Beach, and it's called Zaytinia. Anyway, it's a meze restaurant, kind of Mediterranean, Lebanese, Turkish type thing. So you've got your taramat salata, your hummus, lamb kebabs, that kind of thing. And it was phenomenal. Oh my God, it was unbelievable.
So you're another food lover like we are.
Huge, yeah.
Because Hannah's away, people are mothering me, which is very nice.
Are you still eating your Doritos, your 2 types of Doritos?
Oh, they went in the first couple of days. No, actually yesterday I bought extra spicy Pringles just to give those a try out.
So you're focusing on the nutrition, I see.
Yes, I'm going to be very healthy while Hannah's away. But I was taken out for food by Hannah's father and his girlfriend Sheila, and we went and had a lovely Italian, and people will know this, at De Bruno's, which is in San Pedro, and they have a few different restaurants around and about, sort of in Cabapino and Marbella. My favourite when I go to an Italian, and I can't help myself, I have it every single time, is Vil Milanese with the tomato pomodoro on the side.
It wouldn't be my first go-to, but I know what you mean.
Yeah, well, I can't help it. If it's on the menu, I have it. I always go in thinking, right, I'm going to have something different. And then I go to that and I have that. So that was a lovely evening. And then, when I left them, they went back home. And I thought I'd pop up to the Hogan stand and just see a little bit of live music.
Oh, lovely. When we come to Spain at the end of April, we are going to go to the Hogan stand. You're going to take us to the Hogan stand. I keep hearing about it on your podcasts, and I keep hearing about all your lovely pub quizzes, and I really, really want to go. So will you take us?
Absolutely. Yep. So Thursday is a pub quiz, as you know. Talking of which, next week, it's my last one I'm hosting while Hannah's away. And it's a big one because it's the Irish quiz, because it's the St. Patrick's Day quiz. So I'm trying to put together lots of Irish questions. So I'm basically an Englishman trying to be knowledgeable about Irish history and Irish things. And I think I'm doing okay.
You can fake it. You can fake it.
Yes. All right, well, I am basically a plastic paddy. I love everything Irish. I really do. Some of my ancestry is Irish, so it does go back. Yes, I'm going to enjoy that one. But I've had a few Irish people coming up to me and saying, please don't make it too hard, because they don't want to be embarrassed that they don't know too much about Ireland. But they'll be fine. They all know about Ireland. So yeah, I've got to do that over the next 2 or 3 days, I think. I've got to get that completed and ready for Thursday.
Well, I think it's pretty big over here as well. And there's a pub near where we are, and they do it as well. So they'll do green beer. We'll go there in green T-shirts and green knickers and represent.
Well, Hannah gets back on the Saturday next week, so she'll have the Sunday to maybe recover. And then Monday, she's back at work. But Monday is St. Patrick's Day. And we've always gone throughout the whole day. This year, we're both working, so we won't be able to go during the day, but we will definitely be going in the evening. And I will be having a few pints of Guinness, no doubt.
As you should. You've got to represent. Guinness is my favourite drink. I never used to like it, but we went to Ireland. We went to the Guinness brewery or distillery.
Yes. Yep.
We went to Guinness distillery in Dublin, and it was very, very interesting, the whole story and how they make it and everything. And then you make your way up to the top floor, and then there's this 360-degree view of Dublin, and they give you a free included in the price, pint of Guinness. And I said to my husband, well, you can have mine. I'll just have, a Coke or something. And he said, why don't you try it? I said, because I don't like Guinness. It's horrible. He said, try it. I did. Oh my God. Velvet nectar is all I can say. And I was absolutely hooked. So whenever we see an Irish bar that looks remotely authentic, we go in there and we'll have a couple of Guinnesses.
This is a great thing. There is basically an Irish bar in pretty much every city, I think, in the world. Yeah. There are so many.
Yeah. So we make a beeline when we travel, and if we see the Irish harp, we go, ooh, should we go in for a quick pint? But then it's really nice because you're sitting at the bar and you meet locals. So I think, for example, we were in Bratislava years and years ago, and we went to this Irish pub, sat at the bar, and you start talking to the locals, and they start telling you about the city and maybe some good restaurants to go to. So it behooves you to drink Guinness, is my point.
Yes, exactly. So I'm glad you like Hannah likes it with a bit of blackcurrant in.
Oh, yeah. What's that called? A black and tan? No, a black and tan is and half lager.
Yeah. Oh no, not for a black that. Wouldn't want to water down my Guinness with a lager.
No, it's sacrilegious, isn't it?
Absolutely. Also, this week, as you know, we belong to a theatre group.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, International Theatre Studio. It was our EGM this week, so it's just where we catch up with everything that's happened during the year and plans and everything. But we also had auditions for the next production, which is going to be JB Priestley's An Inspector Calls. Yes. I didn't know it. I've never seen it. So I watched it on the day of the audition. So I knew what it was actually about. And I've auditioned for the part of Eric, and I've got the part of Eric.
Brilliant. So what does Eric do? What's he all about?
He is a very spoilt brat. He's the son of the main characters. They're basically a very wealthy family, set in about 1912, I think it was. And they sacked this girl from her job. And it's her downfall, basically, that's happened. And they're all interlinked. They've all had something to do with this girl, but they didn't know that. An inspector comes to tell them all about what each one's done and how that led to her suicide. But was he a real inspector? So it's a very interesting story. It's quite a spooky, dark story.
Yeah, and the plot thickens. Wow. Is Hannah going to be in it as well?
I don't think so. I think she hasn't auditioned for this one because she's had so much on and she's been in quite a few productions. I think she might be sitting this one out.
Yeah, good for her.
Trying to think what else we've done this week. It's been strange with Hannah not here because Hannah would literally go through her diary and tell us what we're doing. She loves to plan, Hannah. She's got a very good social diary. So without her, not a lot happens. I mean, I've been cooking for myself, which I've been quite enjoying. And I did get curry envy because Hannah's been putting some photos up.
Is the curry different in Goa?
It's hot, she said. Even when they asked for a non-spicy, it's hot. Hannah didn't like spicy food before she went, and I think she's going to come back eating madras.
Oh, wow.
And they all got very excited. 54 women crossing the road, Bangalore, I think it was, because they went out for pizza. And then Hannah wrote to me and said, even the pizza was spicy.
That is crazy. I mean, I've had spicy pizza, but you don't usually expect spice on your pizza.
No, they have spice on everything, apparently. She'll either come home loving and wanting more of it or come home never wanted a curry again.
Yeah. Oh, God, I could murder a curry right now.
Oh, that's what I did. I literally, because of her photo, I got envies. There's a new restaurant in San Pedro, a new Indian restaurant. So I thought I'd try it. So I got a takeaway from there. And it was lovely.
What's your go-to?
Now, chicken madras.
Oh, wow.
I used to have a vindaloo, but I think sometimes when you go to an Indian restaurant and as a Westerner, you ask for vindaloo, they sometimes think, oh, let's make this really hot and see what that does to him. So I've stopped having that.
So it's kind of weird in Miami because they really cater to the American taste. Okay. So if you ask for a madras, it's probably going to be a medium spice. It's not going to be what the Brits or the Indians would consider a madras. So my go-to is a sag paneer or a palak paneer.
Oh, yeah, Hannah loves that. That's the cheese.
The paneer cheese and the spinach. That's my favourite.
That's actually Hannah's favourite as well. That's her go-to over here.
And then a butter chicken. I mean, you got to have the butter chicken. It's fatty, creamy, buttery. Oh, I love it.
Well, one thing she did say, over in India, they don't have things like tikka and madras and things. They just don't exist. That was only made up for the British market, basically. They're so cheap over there. The street food is just ridiculously cheap.
And people say not to eat street food when you go to third world countries, but we do. We love the streets.
It's a way to experience their cuisine, surely. I mean, if they're not dead, then surely it's okay.
Yeah, exactly. That's your measuring stick to go by.
Yeah.
Americans will say, oh, yeah, your English food is really terrible. And I'll say, well, actually, it's not. 'Cause have you actually had a good roast on a Sunday? A good old English roast beef or roast pork, roast chicken? And mostly they haven't. And then I will say, and when you go to England or London, you're probably not going to be eating, Brussels sprouts or stuff like that. You're probably going to have a really good Indian.
I think it is now the national dish of Britain, isn't it?
Chicken tikka masala is now the #1 rather than fish and chips.
And there's a very, very funny sketch. And I think it was the Kumars. It was an Indian family. And they basically said, let's go out for some bland food. So they were going to instead of going out, we would say go out for an Indian. They wanted to go out for some bland food.
The last time I was in Coventry, I was in Coventry Market. And I saw a sign and it said pork batch. A roast pork batch. And I thought, oh, yeah. So roast pork with gravy in it and some crackling on a bun, a batch. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
On a pan. And it was something like £2.50, £3 or something. So I crave that kind of stuff. That's my comfort food from when I was a child. So I went and I got this huge sandwich. It was dripping everywhere. And there was a Jamaican woman next to me, and she returned her sandwich. And she said to the guy, "Can you make this taste, please? It's bland." I was like, oh my God. And the owner looked at her and said, "Well, what do you want on it? Do you want some Tabasco or do you want some curry powder or something?" Oh, yeah. So she had all this stuff that really shouldn't be on a roast pork and gravy sandwich. Oh, that's much better. But that was just her taste. You know, she liked the spiciness of it.
So what would you consider the sort of dish of Miami? What would people generally eat over there if they were going out and it was a sort of popular food, if you were going to recommend something?
Well, we have a huge Cuban population in Miami, as you know. And so you have to have a Cuban sandwich. At least once when you're here as a tourist, you have to have a Cuban sandwich.
And what that consists of?
It's like a panini. And inside it, you've got ham, melted cheese, pulled pork, and pickles. And then they toast it on this kind of flat iron toaster. And it's absolutely fantastic. Some places are better than others. There's a place called Havana 1957. That's the best one. That's our go-to.
There's one Cuban restaurant, it's tiny, in the top of San Pedro. And we had a phase of going there sort of every week. They're not really a restaurant, but they did bar snacks. And they used to do this pork cubes that were really crispy.
Chicharrones.
Is that what they're called? It's gorgeous.
Yeah, they're very good. And you have it with black beans and yellow rice.
Yeah, well, these just came in a little bowl. And we've actually managed to get the Hogan Stanhope, because I think we were telling them about it. And they've got it on their menu now. But they do it with a bit of soy sauce, but the same type of thing.
Get them to look up a Cuban sandwich. It's so popular.
Oh, yeah. Well, it sounds good to me.
It really, really is absolutely fantastic. And now, all the way from India is Hannah. Hi, Hannah.
Well, I hope you're enjoying the podcast while I'm away. I've heard the first episode with PJ and Mandy doing a fantastic job. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Mandy, especially. I'm in India, which has been the most incredible culture shock, shall we say? Not just because of being in India, because I knew I was expecting it to be extremely different to what we're used to in the UK and Spain, but particularly what we're doing. There's 54 women and we're driving rickshaws or tuk-tuks across the country. We started in Chennai and we're heading towards Goa. And I cannot emphasize enough how insane the traffic and the roads are. And the weirdest thing about it is we're almost kind of used to it now. The idea of a massive truck coming towards you on theoretically the wrong side of the road or the motorway is now completely normal. Whereas at the beginning we were like, what are they doing? And now we just, move out the way. And people bib their horns all the time, but it's not an aggressive beep move. It's just a beep to let a vehicle know that you're there and you want to overtake them or even undertake them, which again is completely normal here. So we're really used to the beeping now. We're really confident on the roads. It took me a little bit longer than my friend Nikki, who was on it straight away, but I'm there now and I'm really enjoying it. It's an incredible challenge, and being with all these weird and wonderful women is also an amazing experience. And we've been to see a school where a lot of the money is going that we've all been raising to build a classroom, which was an amazing experience. And we also went to meet the Rotary people for the round table, which again is a lot of the charities that we're teaming up with, the Ladies' Table and Round Table of India. And there's been a lot of speeches made. There's been a lot of people wanting to take photographs of us. We've been all over the Indian press, about 4 or 5 television news shows, because when we were at the school, there was loads of media there with a million microphones in our faces. And so Emma and Francesca, who organised the whole trip, were answering questions about the sisterhood group who we're all a part of doing this epic adventure, and also why we're doing it, connected to International Women's Day, Saturday the 8th of March. And Yeah, and there's been about 10 different articles as well in the Indian press. We even made the BBC in the UK. So it's a really big deal, and it's a wonderful thing to be part of. And also with women doing these challenges, as well as being able to give back to charity, we're also challenging ourselves. You know, it's helping with women's confidence or making friends, having to spend time with women that maybe you wouldn't necessarily choose to be with otherwise. You just have to get on with it. And also, from my point of view, as PJ will concur, I'm not great with patience, and I can sometimes get quite stressed in stressful situations. And this trip is definitely testing both of those things. So I'm hoping when I get back, I'm more patient and less stressed in situations that I can't control. So enjoy the podcast. I miss Spain. I miss the normality of my happy life. But this is an amazing experience, and I look forward to catching up with you soon.
And there you go. That was Hannah. Thank you very much, Hannah, for the update. Sounds like she's having an amazing and scary time. Very sadly, or I say sadly, I'm very pleased to see Hannah when she gets back, but sadly it's your last podcast with us. Well, I'm not going to say that, because I think we may even do this again.
Ooh.
Well, why not? I think we could almost have a guest sort of pod, can't we? So I'm not going to say this is it. I'm going to say thank you.
I've loved it. I really, really loved catching up with you. Absolutely amazing. And I can't wait to see you both in, what is it now, 6 weeks?
Absolutely. Yeah, it's coming around really quickly. So that's going to be fantastic. And maybe we could do like a bonus episode where we all sit together and have a chat.
Oh, yes. Lovely.
That would be really good. But yeah, as I said, I think this has been a nice, refreshing sort of fill-in for while Hannah's away. It's been great to learn a bit more about Miami and a bit more about sort of what expat life is over there. And yeah, thank you again. And we look forward to catching up really soon and in person.
In person. You're very welcome. Bye, PJ.
Bye-bye.